Well, hey there. This is Michael Spackman, and today is day 18 on my 90-day challenge using 4Q Boundaries basic training course. And before I go into the check-in of how my day is and then give you the sample and then conclusion of what I experienced using today's tools, I actually have a theme that I want to talk a little bit about, and that is experiential training and curiosity and how they're actually linked together. So 4Q Boundaries is not really an informational website. Uh, the training that we offer here is not about having people regurgitate information. It's literally, we're creating a space for you to focus inwards on yourself and to start to discover, how do you experience things? And this is why I always tell people, it's like you have to be curious when you want to do this type of work, because curiosity creates questions. And then questions allow you to discern different types of experiences. And that's like really everything we're teaching here, is that when you focus inwards, you start to notice how you experience something. And then you question that. It's like, oh, what's going on here? How am I experiencing this? And how is that different than something else? And then next, you keep asking questions and you keep asking questions, and you learn from asking the questions versus listening to me, Michael, speak and say, oh, well, here's the answers because Michael says this is the answers, which is not what this website's about. It's not about regurgitating my information. It's really about learning how to own your information because you're experiencing it, which is why it's experiential training. So I'll give you a perfect example. And everybody's experienced this already. It's just a matter of how do you discern it? So let's say, for example, I'm doing some work and, it's still morning time, but for some reason I'm getting really tired. And as I'm getting really tired, I'm noticing it's like I'm having a hard time focusing. And then next, I'm feeling like I'm drifting. And that experience of drifting, next it's like either I go get some coffee, I eat something, I get up, I move. I have to do something in order to break this pattern of drifting. And then when I break the pattern, I come back. Hopefully I'm more grounded, I'm more present and doing my work again. That is an example of basically you're having a spiritual experience. Instead of being fully present in your body, you're starting to notice what is it like to actually drift. And that drifting could eventually lead to falling asleep. We do that every night when we go to bed, but we also do it during the day. And so that in itself is a spiritual experience. It's not the definition of here and then leaving. It's how do you experience that moment? Because what happens is throughout the day, you may notice that your attention goes somewhere. And next you're not here anymore. You're not present. You're off into a thought, a memory, or somewhere, but you're not here. So you may not be listening to, let's say, a coworker or a partner or a boss talk. They're not speaking. So you're only hearing half of it because your attention, you are somewhere else. So that's like an example of, a spiritual boundary being breached. The same thing is, let's say, your emotions. You're doing some work, and then next thing you know, you just get this spike. It could be a spike of anxiety. Whatever the feeling is, but you're doing something routine, you're used to it, but the next thing you know, the emotions start coming up, but there's no defined reason why you're experiencing it. Well, that's something, again, people experience all the time, but that's an experience of your emotional body where something is being stirred within you, but it's starting to recognize, well, wow, okay, I feel off. I feel there's this emotional intensity within me. And then how you define that emotion is up to you. An example of a mental boundary or a mental body is your thinking. You're constantly thinking about something. Let's say you have a project that's coming up, and so you can't stop thinking about it. You're doing a different project, but your attention keeps going back to that other project. Well, now you have your attention split. And the reason why your attention is split is because you have a capable mental boundary or mental body, but your attention's split. So guess what? A lot of times you're not as effective than if you're 100% in the present moment. But again, you get to decide if you need your attention split or if it needs to be in the present moment. But the difference is can you actually recognize that experience? And that's part of what we're doing with the 4Q boundaries. As we teach tools, like this is week 3, day 18, we've been working on 3 different sets of tools in the last 3 weeks. The whole point of all these exercises is we're teaching you tools on how to define your space, how to release stimulus out of you so that way you could be more in the present moment. As well as when you're not in the present moment and you start to drift, are you drifting spiritually, emotionally, mentally? And so what you're doing is you're learning about how stimulus is impacting you by just paying attention. And that's why we do the meditations. And that's why we do it on a daily basis. Because guess what? You are being stimulated 24/7. Even when you're asleep, there's sounds around you that may be stimulating you. Or maybe you never cleared work out, or maybe a conversation. So you go to bed, and next thing you know, start dreaming about the same situation that you had during the day. Well, that's stimulus that's within you that you never released, and now it's impacting you while you sleep. So these are just examples of ways that you can experience um, the 4 boundaries, the 4 bodies, the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, and the spiritual body. And we use the physical body because all of them tie into the physical body. That's why we're paying attention to, am I here in this location, right here, physically? Now, the physical body has its own mechanics, but that's different. That's like your heartbeat, your breathing, your digestive system, your nervous system. It's the different parts of the body that actually communicates with each other to keep your body healthy. And so when your body is out of balance, guess what? That means your body has to figure out how to bring you back into homeostasis so that way you can, stay healthy. The thing is, though, your emotional body, your mental body, and your spiritual body all connect into the physical form. So not only is your physical body dealing with what's going on around you, like the food you eat, the air you breathe, the stuff you drink, the environmental stimulus that's around you, visual stimuli, there's, auditory stimuli, so things that are on a physical level. Your body also has to manage those other energetic levels, which is why we talk about 4 boundaries, 4 bodies versus just one body. Because the more that you're able to distinguish these different type of stimulus, then you can target what you need to focus on to release the stimulus. So if you're carrying around of a lot of emotional stuff, you're like, whoa, emotions are big time right now. I need to ground my emotional body so that way I can be more in the present. Or maybe your thoughts keep going and you can't stop thinking about something. And guess what? Those thoughts then may start to influence your emotions. And then next thing you know, your emotions are going crazy. Well, guess what? Your body now has to deal with both the mental and the emotional, because now it's becoming a physical sensation that you're starting to experience. And that's the same thing with the spiritual side. Because let's say we'll stay with the scenario, mental body affecting the emotional body, affecting the physical body, but then you can't sleep. Or when you do go to sleep, you start dreaming about it. Well, now your spiritual body is now being impacted by the physical body, emotional body, mental body. So they're all tied into each other. But if you're able to start to separate and recognize those different layers, it gives you a little bit more permission to target parts of you as well as become more conscious to what's happening within you, and then you're able to change it. And this is why I can't tell you what you're going to experience, because I'm not you. I don't have the same triggers within my four bodies that you have. And we're not identical. And even if we were, it doesn't mean we have the same life experience. So what may trigger you doesn't trigger me, and vice versa. So 4Q boundaries is all about creating that experience by focusing on your attention, putting your attention on yourself, using these tools and changing the colors. So that way we start stirring the pot, recognizing, okay, what's going on within me. So that way throughout your day, you can actually start to recognize faster. It's like, oh, I'm experiencing this. Okay, now I have tools that I can actually release those things. So that's really the nutshell. And I'll probably say this a couple more times in these 90 days because, as you know, we say things once and it's always forgotten. So the website says it also. The audios do not. So when you go into the membership, I don't talk about these things in the membership, at least not to this date, just because I really want the membership to be an experiential experience, not a realm of downloading all this information, because I know people, they're always looking for information, but they forget that all the information is within you. You just have to slow down enough, pay attention, start to identify and recognize what's going on within you to then go, oh, I know what's happening. That's why curiosity is so important, because if you're not curious about this stuff, there's no point in doing it, because you're not going to do it in the first place. So anyways, that's sort of my little lecture on experiential training and curiosity. So let's go into my check-in, because I'm ready to do my meditation. So today is still a skill builder day of week 3. So I'll be working on the inner sanctum. So my inner sanctuary. And I don't know what color I'm going to use yet, but I had a good day. I had a lot of fun clients today, a lot of great communication. I had some coffee a couple times today, but I'm not wired. At least I don't think I am. I don't feel it, but I do like coffee. Yeah, so everything's great. I feel good, and it's time to focus on what's going on in here and how long can I stay in the present moment as I really focus in on the parts. And when you listen to the next section, it's only 5 minutes I'm giving you. So you're not going to be able to have more experience other than 5 minutes unless you keep rewinding the video. So if you like this type of stuff, join the membership, start doing the course with me. And because you can always listen to these videos at a later date. But you get to sort of play around more with how do you experience things within. And that's what I do, is I go in and I actually am like going, okay, this is my inner sanctum in here. When I'm talking about the left side and the right side and the ceiling and the floor and the front and the back, I'm really trying to get inside my cranium itself and notice, how do I experience that within me? And then when I have that color set, can I really see that color within my head? And if I can't, that says everything. Because guess what? That means there's something that says I can't. There's something that's preventing me from seeing it. That's stimulus. That's why we have a grounding cord. Release that down your grounding cord. That's the same thing, we have a grounding cord in the head too. Ground that out as well. Or it's like, wow, I try to have this color, try to set this color, but I can't. I always see this a different color. That's energy. Release that energy that says, no, do white instead of brown. It's because there's an energy that says you need to do white versus brown. Or it could be a judgment. Oh, don't do brown. Brown's a bad color. There's stimulus. Stimulus says, don't do this. That's what I say when you notice what you notice, because that's what you're becoming conscious to. It's like, oh, something's trying to change the 3-step process. 3-step process is nothing more. Listen to an audio, notice what I notice, and repeat. And so when you make things more complicated, guess what? You're noticing that there's something within you that's making it more complicated than what it is. That's information. What that is, who knows? Who cares? You'll figure it out. And if you don't, let it go. And next thing you know, you'll go, wow, what used to be really complicated, it's no longer complicated. But then next thing you know, you'll start to identify other parts of your life where maybe you make things more complicated than they really are, because that's energy. Maybe you're a person that always makes things more complex because there's something within you that says making things easy you can't have, or you don't deserve, or there's all again, there's so many different ways of and rules that we people live by, that it's there's the list is endless. That's why we don't list things. It's called, what am I experiencing? How am I identifying these things? That's the first step. And that's exciting because now you're starting to become conscious of what's going on. So, anyways, I'm done with this little talk. I want to do some meditation, and enjoy your meditation, and I will see you on the other side. Take care. Well, welcome to the meditation portion of this video. I think today we're going to meditate at Lemon. So enjoy exploring your inner sanctuary at Lemon. Let's set your inner sanctuary at a lemon vibration. I'd like you to place your attention on your head and notice the front of your head and the back side, the right side of your head and the left side. Notice the ceiling and the floor, and be aware of all 6 points and notice the space that's between those 6 points. And validate your grounding cord that's attached to the center of your inner sanctuary, that goes all the way down to the center of the planet. And if you notice any foreign energy in your inner sanctuary, just let it go down that lemon grounding cord. And be aware of your inner sanctuary and having your inner sanctuary set at that lemon vibration. Just be aware of that lemon as it radiates throughout your inner sanctuary. And that lemon moves throughout the inner sanctuary to every single corner, every single nook and cranny within your inner sanctuary. It's just radiating at that lemon vibration. And if you notice any foreign energy that's in that inner sanctuary space of yours, just let it go down that grounding cord. And notice your body, and notice as you're setting your inner sanctuary at this lemon vibration, what happens with your body? What do you notice physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually? And continue to watch.
And what are you noticing physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually as your inner sanctuary is set at this 11 vibration? Continue to watch.
Well, I'm back. I always like saying that. Anyways, just finished. I did a cycle and a half. So I was meditating for what, about 35-ish minutes or so tonight. Was good. You know, what was really fascinating is the very beginning, it felt dense. You know, just noticing my head, it felt like it was really, it wasn't pressure as much as it just felt like it was just filled with stuff. That's how I'd sort of describe it. A little bit challenging at the very beginning to sort of see the color, and then everything, you know, clarified, and I was able to see it. Um, and then from there, you know, it was pretty solid for a while. And then when I got to like the fourth or fifth color, I started to drift a little bit, you know, and then was still hearing the audio, but I wasn't really quite present. And then from there, I came back. And then as I continued listening to the audio itself, what I noticed was really fascinating is that I think it was at yellow the second time. Um, there's a inside the cranium itself. There's this structure here called fox cerebri and fox cerebellum. It's actually the separation of the brain, basically for the two hemispheres and everything. And I noticed that became really pronounced, and it was like it just really got highlighted in my head tonight. And I don't usually notice those structures because I'm not really paying attention to those structures per se. Um, but tonight it came about, and I was like going, oh, interesting. Doesn't matter why, it just did, and I was like, okay, cool. And then also, you know, through the inner sanctuary audios, you know, I was really deliberate at saying, oh, okay, I'm going to bring my energy back too. So as I was noticing the color here, I'd bring in just, you know, some energy. I just use the same color because it's simple, but you can use whatever color you want. But I'd, you know, call my energy back, fill myself up while I was in here, being grounded, you know, using my other tools. And that sort of makes it fun because as you start learning more and more tools, it's like, okay, how can I pay attention to other tools even though this is the one that tonight is the featured tool? But and you know, and the goal is can I you know, switch and notice all of these tools throughout a meditative session or space. And that's what we do in week 12, week 11, and week 12. The audios there's actually no training in those. It's literally just listening to the audios at different colors, and then they're randomized. We'll talk more about that in the future. But when I'm doing these, you know, I'm allowing myself to use other tools, but the emphasis is always on the tool that's present because guess what? You're listening to the audio, which is the three-step process. So, you know, give yourself permission to be a beginner. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been using these tools for a long time. But it makes it sort of fun to see what else is going on inside your space as you're focused on a specific tool. So, anyways, I think that's it. Have an amazing morning, afternoon, evening, and nighttime whenever you're watching this video. And I will talk to you tomorrow, day 19. Time's flying. Talk to you soon. Take care.